We are live. 3.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this exciting panel in honor of World Digital Detox Day celebrated tomorrow on December 10th. It's an honor to host this panel together with the Italian ambassador of World Digital Detox Day, Angelica Maran, who joins me, the French ambassador. And we're very excited to welcome Fernanda Mayu to this powerful discussion, who is a digital well-being coach and trainer. And together, we want to explore how hyperconnectivity is reshaping communication, work-life balance, mental well-being, and human relationships, and how individuals, leaders, schools, and organizations can reclaim intentional, healthy use of technology. We want to blend insights from the wellness, the education, and digital well-being fields to this panel and offer you eventually with practical strategies to create a more sustainable and human-centered digital approach. Welcome, Fernanda, and welcome, Angelica.
Thank you very much, Verena. Thank you very much.
I would love to, first of all, thank everyone for taking the time to join on digital media, where we talk about digital detox, which sounds a little bit contradictory, but at the same time, for us, digital detox, or at least to me, it does not mean no screens at all. The digital world has, of course, many benefits, and I think the key lays in how we use it and how we integrate it meaningfully and mindfully into our daily lives. And Fernanda, I would love to start with one question for you. What does digital detox truly mean in today's world? And also, what misconceptions should we clear up today eventually?
Of course, Verena. Let me start with the misconception first. As you say, of course, digital well-being is not refusing digital, but digital detox is not an half-day guilt reset. It's not a short break to feel better and then go back to exactly the same habit. It's not a radical retreat either. And it's definitely not about refusing technology, as you said. Stopping using our phones because we don't know how to use them, well, it's like stopping eating because we don't know how to eat or we don't eat well. So what is actually digital detox? To me, it's about restoring choice. It's a better tech use aligned with focus, with sleep, with relationship, and with mental clarity. And nowadays, it's a competence. It's a competence that we need to train, just like emotional intelligence, like empathy, and other human skills. And it also means digital discernment, choosing what we consume online and recognize what is mental junk food and what actually nourishes our mind. So in a nutshell, sorry.
Go ahead.
In a nutshell, at the end of the day, is a reflection on our patterns and one simple question: are my daily digital habits aligned with my values, with the life, with the energy and relationship I say I care about? So this is digital detox to me.
And that's a very good point. And I mean, I'm always coming back to that. You know, when in our childhoods, I got my first cell phone at 22, and that was a phone where you could text and where you could call, right? My first email I wrote when I was 19. And we have today children growing up that see us struggling with this digital world, which has like somehow entered our lives, and we are trying to manage it and trying to cope up with it, versus our children these days are just, yeah, for them it's natural. They cannot imagine a world without it. And I think that's why it's even more important to talk about how digital detox can happen in order for us also to give this back and pass on to the next generation.
Absolutely. Sorry.
No, sorry, Fernanda. It's just a question for you related to that. And sorry for it's a purely align with this. As I know that you are also expert in parenting in the digital age. What Verena mentioned, it's a truth, because many times I feel for sure I don't have the tools as a parent in this digital age. I can have the tools for other, let's say, area of our parenthood, maybe, hopefully, but the digital world is something which is challenging adults a lot, and I see that every day. So, a question for you, as you are teaching, you are working also with public institutions and also private companies. What are, in your opinion, what you see, because you are in contact every day with that, the patterns that you see in repetition, and what are, let's say, your tools or your concepts to start at least to break them and to have people aware of those patterns?
Let me start with this. We are, as Verena said, we are digital migrants. Of course, we didn't grow up with phones in our hands.
I love that expression.
And with parents, of course, they need to have a conversation with digital natives, so people who like grow up with their phones. So the conversation, of course, is difficult because we speak in different languages, and parents also need to live in a world they didn't live at all. So they have no rules, they don't know how to do it, and as I said before, like the conversation is very hard. The pattern that I see related to, I'd say, with connection, even with parents and kids, is of course is losing connection and losing presence. And parents don't know how to be present with their kids. The kids, they want them, their present to be, their parents to be. And this is very hard. So of course, sharing the same language is very difficult. That when I say that today be a parent, also involved to be a digital parent, to develop digital skills, because otherwise losing the connection with the kids is easy. So that's why we need to develop the connection with it, and also develop digital literacy, because otherwise the distance between parents and kids will be too wide.
But I think not just between parents and kids, also between friends. I mean, all these social aspects is completely impacted by how this digital world manages us almost, right?
We're slowly losing, like, loneliness is an epidemic now, and we're losing like the real relationship with people. Like we are developing shallow relationship with people because we are losing the ability to connect. We're losing villages, of course. Like the villages are now like small villages. We have family of ones, and we cannot rely on the villages that we used to have. So it's very hard for us now to develop the connection.
And what can we say about this in the context of, let's say, in a working context, living parenthood and living our personal lives, but our professional lives? Because in fact, we do need technology. We are here to support it, but we are here also to support awareness. How do you see that? What do you see in the companies? What's the, let's say, the digital fatigue that you see? What are the patterns? This is very interesting to me.
When I see that technology, of course, has made communication faster, but attention is more fragmented. At work, we reply quicker, but we lose the depth because, of course, at work we have too many channels that create constant interruptions. The well-known time confetti, like our days get shredded into tiny pieces that are too short for real thinking. And of course, at home, we are reachable, but we're less present. Like we are Irish, like we share spaces, but not attention. So the hyper connectivity creates the illusion of responsiveness while quietly eroding the deep work and the real connection. So of course, speed has improved, but the present has become a scarce resource. And what I see usually in company, I see the always on expectation, of course, that people feel that they must reply quickly to prove commitment. I see, as I said, the channels pro, so email plus WhatsApp, Team, Slack, plus priorities, and of course accountability, and this culture of interruption. So urgent becomes the default tone, even when it's not.
And how do you see that? Because I mean, and we are coming with Angelica from the wellness world, meaning like traditional wellness world with spa. We're talking about mental wellness, emotional wellness. And of course, when we read about digital detoxing, you read a lot about the impact and the side effects it has on children, but also on us. And I mean, you just mentioned and touched base very on a few. But do you have any insights on what no digital break really does with us? Meaning, like, if we don't take a break from this digital world, what impact does it have on our body as much as the physical body or the mental body or the emotional one?
How much time do we have? 'Cause it's
Tomorrow morning.
exactly, like yeah, I could stay here forever. The first thing is that we have losing the ability to rest. We have no idea now. I can see like working with people, like some people don't know how to rest. One thing that often say, I say that we think that part of our rest is happening online. Like scrolling is rest. Being on a sofa scrolling or like checking on someone is resting. So we slowly losing the ability to rest. We slowly losing the ability to disconnect for something and to put priorities about, of course, our spiritual rest, our emotional rest, our body rest. We are losing this ability. Like, of course, this is connected also with boredom. We confuse about, am I bored? Am I exhausted? Do I need rest? So like the limited ability that we are developing, this scares me actually. This is what actually scares me.
And the fact that we don't have this ability to rest anymore, would it be safe to say that it has ultimately an impact on our nervous system, meaning it is completely out of control, meaning that because it's out of control, we are more stressed, more tensed, less focused, less productive. I don't know what else comes into that. I'm not an expert neither in that field, but would that be safe to say?
Absolutely. We live in a constant fight or flight mode. Completely. Like we don't know how to stop because everything is urgent. We busy. We scared of not being busy. So we fill up our agenda, our calendar with appointment, with things that we must do, that we must rush do. We want to be busy. These terms of busy bragging, we want to be busy because we kind of like sometimes ashamed to say like, oh, no, I didn't plan anything for today. We need to be in a constant activity. And of course, like nervous system is always in fight or flight. So like if we do this for one day, yes, it's fine. A week, 3, 4 months, 5 months without resting, of course, it can have a long-term effect.
Yeah, and this is a point because our brain, and I follow you, our brain is not set up, not yet, for this type of daily activity. We have been developing our brain for 300,000 years. Okay, we arrived to a point, and now we are rushing to levels that they don't belong to us, and we pretend they are belonging to us, and we pretend. And this fact of being exhausted, I also agree. Because in fact, there is also a point that I want to underline when you were mentioning, we know the scrolling, the things, because we cannot even understand anymore, and it is involving all of us more or less, what is entertainment. Because entertainment has also taken different shapes, okay? Years ago, we had only the theater, then cinema, then things, and now we have scrolling. It's our entertainment. But at the end, you don't know if you are exhausted, if you are fulfilled, if you are entertained, if you bought something, if you got something, if you learned something. This is really non-human, to my point of view. Okay, very distant from
And I will also add that we are constantly consuming. We are constantly consuming digital content. When was the last time that like I will ask you, maybe Verena or Angelica, when was the last time that you truly felt that you weren't consuming, that you were just relaxed, in a relaxed mode without constantly thinking about consuming something? It's hard to recall, I guess, I hope.
I let the Verena the reply. I have a reply for me because I force myself to do that. I'm working on the heart rate variability. So it's a work, so it's another point, okay? But the question, for sure, it's a rhetorical question. it's complicated. And the reply is, I don't remember. I remember when I plan to relax or to make a work on my heart, okay, but not when I didn't plan it. So that's.
But can I tell you, this is an amazing strategy, like planning where to rest. Rest should be part of our calendar. So we need to plan, because if we don't plan, we overlook it. We will, that will be next week. We postpone it. So we need to plan each week in our calendar when we're gonna rest, when we're gonna be bored, when we're gonna just stay like and exist.
I mean,
First
as crazy as it is, but I think that's true. Because the answer to the question is really, as much as we all know that we must rest, if we don't make it as, I mean, we have full-time jobs, we have busy entrepreneurs. If we don't put it in our agenda, we always put ourselves last. And I think that this is key to make it a priority for ourselves, as well as we would make it in a company for our employees. And it's very key that to take that moment to rest. And it's very interesting when I try to go sometimes in my busy schedule for a massage here where I live, and it's nothing fancy, but I found a good therapist. And the good thing is, there I'm not the spa person. There I'm just me and Verena, and I'm not looking at how things are done. I don't care about standards. I don't care about which oil is used. I don't care about if the linen is wrinkle free. I'm not in my professional eye mode. Because when I go to spas and check them out, what do? Well, I seek inspiration. So even if I go for professional purposes into spas, where you could think, oh, she has the coolest job in the world, at the same time, I'm there with my cell phone all the time to take pictures, to not lose that inspiration, to be able to come back to it, and to educate and to train myself, and to really have that professional eye on. And so that's where it's key for me sometimes to say, you know what, I do now something for me, even it is out of my professional world, but more in the incognito mode, that I really can let go and not think about what can I take back from this experience into my professional world, which is, I mean, it sounds grotesque, but it's at the end of the day, that's how it is, right?
But I totally agree.
Yeah, it's Verena. I understand. I understand this, and I always say that. I mean, it can be banal, but that's just true. When you enter, as we both share the spa, let's say the well-being industry, when you are in a cabin with another person, you really enter in a connection, but the connection with yourself. Paradoxically, the disconnection with everything. Let's say it's not even allows you, forces now, because forces you to connect with areas of ourselves that we keep on postponing, forgetting, procrastinating, and let's say that it's still a joy sometimes when you have the hint of yourself. And I think it's, yes, it's interesting, Fernanda, also what you mentioned before about fixing and arranging in our schedule also the resting areas. If you can also mention other tips, we're not here for the tips, but according to your experience and with all the, let's say, meetings and encounters that you have, what is another good suggestion that you can give us?
I'm not a big fan of the shortcut, but just because I don't think there is one size fits all solution in terms of digital well-being. But one thing that I always suggest people to start with is the word honesty, and about being honest with ourselves, and about the role that we play in trading our attention, our relationship, our sense of connection for convenience and for our digital lives. And one question that I always suggest is, before reaching out to our phones, before replying straight away to an email, is to stop for a second, to pause for a second, and ask ourselves, is this nourishing our mind, my mind, my body, my spirit, or is it draining it? Is a small pause where we can learn, we can have a second before reply, before like taking our phones, and is just a small habit that we can start doing along with tracking our digital habits. I know that it sounds weird, But this works a lot. Is tracking habits. As I said, there is no one size fits all because we all have different lives, of course. But for a couple of weeks, tracking down is a journaling without judging, but just looking at the patterns of what we wrote down about. Why did I reach to my phone? How did I feel when I was reading that email? How did I feel when I was seeing my calendar? And then after 2 weeks to read it and to look at the patterns and decide what do you want to protect more? Your sleep, your focus, your relationship, yourself. And after that, we can choose, of course, simply daily boundaries that to me, of course, I take it for granted, but they're not granted as I wish. So no phones for the first 20 minutes in the morning. I know that it sounds like weird, but of course, it's very hard to do it still. Or no phones for the 30 minutes at night. Or phone-free meals, especially if you have kids. For me, that is like it's non-negotiable. Phone-free meals with kids is important for us, of course, and it's important also for the kids. So to me, there is not a perfect discipline, but it's just kind of honest awareness, tiny pause, and small rules that we can actually keep, because it's so easy to do it for 1 day or 2 days, but like keeping it like a long term, that's the real challenge.
And what is interesting for me with the kids is that, I mean, I'm always, of course, very sentimental back when I think of my childhood, because there were no cell phones, right? And we were doing things that my kids clearly don't do anymore. And that is partly because of the existence of digital devices. And I mean, I remember we went last year on a vacation and the kids had misbehaved for various reasons on the way going. And at one point, we had given them a notice saying, okay, one more time, and then the iPad will be gone. Both iPads will be gone for the entire week of vacation. They decided to test that limit and lost both their iPad privilege for the week, which was hilarious because first they accepted it. And second, they started doing the things from my childhood. It was really hilarious to see. They suddenly played with shells and stones, gave them names. They even talked this year about when we came back a year later because it left a memory with them. And I think that's actually super cool to see how really digital free time can provoke different behavior. And that's something that I love to observe. And for example, when we have long travels, and for kids, travel is of course challenging. But I always say, okay, we start already with a screen-free hour where we can talk, where we can sing. Then they play DJ, and we have different music playing where they can sing along or whatever it is. But for me, having that that screen-free time from time to time is really beautiful to see what you can do with it.
And I will add just one thing that it works for companies and for like parents, walk the talk. I know that, of course, like we should take it for granted, but we know the kids and also employees, they learn about what their parents, or of course in company, what their leaders do, not what their leader says. So kids learn more through your example, and of course employees learn more through the examples rather than what a leader or parents can say. So I know that it's hard for a parent. I'm not a parent, but I know that it's hard for a parent. Sometimes I also give a small trick. I can give this super small trick when you're really exhausted at the end of the day and you feel the urge of using your phone because you want to use it. Take a book and bring your phone inside. This is something that you can only do in an emergency, but don't show your kids that you're using your phone. Even maybe hide yourself. Take a book and bring your phone inside. This is just in use of an emergency. It's not a routine or something you can do it. But if you really feel it, like try to hide the habits that you don't want your kids to share.
But in fact, it's very interesting, and also known what we are saying also about kids. It's a kids and new generation, let's say, generally speaking. It's true. It's also true that I think that when they don't have the choice, or when we don't have the choice, we can show a kind of a a part of our nature, not real, because we have different natures, part of our nature. And I see that with the kids is easier, but if we want, we can mix also the exercise with ourselves, and it's going to be the same. Because when the kids, they are in environment where there are no screens, and screens, I mean phone, because for example, the grandparents, typically in Italy, you have a television. You have the television with the cartoon. Then 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was like a monster. Switch it off the television. Now it's a kind of nice thing. But when they don't have the chance to have the phones, the creativity really is on another level. And you see things that you have never expected, such because you know what? They don't have the chance. And here you see the brain nature, the human nature, and it's the same for us. When we don't have the battery, we desperate, and we start to see what we have around. We start to really, I know that's for granted, but this is a reality. So also not having the choice, it's a good choice to make sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah.
I agree. And now we have World Digital Detox Day internationally. I believe you do a digital detox festival, Fernanda, is that correct?
Along with Alessio Cacciofi, the artistic director, yes, we organized the Digital Detox Festival this year. There was the first edition.
So you had the first edition this year?
This year in June, yes, and of course
Tell us
we'll have another edition.
about it, how it was perceived, and how the participation was, and also eventually how you see what role such events can play ultimately in our society.
The thing is that brings the national culture shifts when the language and the norm shifts. In terms of these events, like of course there's a digital detox and other events, they can bring the topic to the public. Because this topic, of course, we can see in the conferences, expert or niche cycle. But when we bring to these events, such as the Digital Detox Festival, normalize the conversation, making the digital well-being, let's say, I will use this word, like mainstream and not a niche. So we can offer prototype because people can need examples and healthy habits, not just moralism or guilt. And of course, these events can turn personal well-being in some shared social standard and into something that people can recognize and can talk about and can practice, of course, we hope, in the everyday life.
And joining this, absolutely. There is also Benessere Digitali, which is very interesting. It's a digital wellness season. It's a plural of wellness. I like this definition. And it's 2 editions already. When it
the first edition last year, and we collect all experts in digital well-being because we need to work together. Digital well-being is a new field, so of course we cannot win the battle alone by ourselves. So we need to be a collection of people in different fields, of course, like psychotherapists, expert, journalists, pediatrician, like all kind of experts that we have.
That's interesting. Also, Verena and I were very happy to have you because we are bridging systems in this moment because we didn't know each other before, and let's say this was is an opportunity to create a larger, not only community but also a larger let's say collection of perspective and voices. And as you said, there are so many perspectives on this that it cannot be only, let's say, a specific event or a specific person. It's interesting to see also in our own team how many topics and how many visions, how many possibilities we can have, still very fresh because there is a lot to do, I think. But very, very interesting to get to know what you have been doing so far, Fernanda. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much as well, Fernanda, for joining us in honor of World Digital Detox Day that we celebrate tomorrow internationally, and a movement that has been founded out of India. And I'm a proud World Digital Detox Day ambassador in France. I know Angelica is the same for Italy, and I love that we joined forces to come together, raise some awareness about the importance of digital detox. Thank you, Fernanda, for this interesting and transformative conversation. And I think we can just encourage everyone watching to do one more thing tomorrow. And if it's just 15 minutes without iPhone, without a laptop, without an iPad, without any screen, to just be connected to ourselves again, which I think is the biggest risk of no digital detoxing, and also of not being a good role model for the next generation. So let's reclaim the presence, the focus, and human connection in our overly screen saturated world. And with this, I would say happy World Digital Detox Day.
Absolutely. I just add that it's not crucial to switch off technology rather than switch on awareness. And that's what we have been doing all together. And really, I'm very glad to be with you. And thank you very much again, Verena, Fernanda.
Thank you, Verena. Thank you, Angelica. Thank you for having me. And this is a good use of technology. So like we connected today. So let's put more effort in these kind of activities and then invest in the offline of courses so we can have a good use of the online as well. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.